G'day mates, I'm Vizier and I'm here with a Borderlands 3 Legendary Weapons Guide. Today we're having a look at the Clairvoyance. In my case it's the Wicked Clairvoyance, in your case the prefix of this gun may change, but it should be some variation of the Clairvoyance. Now to get this beast you're going to want to have the Guns, Love and Tentacles DLC, and we're going to be going to Curse Haven to farm for this. The Withernot Cemetery is where you want to spawn at, and we're going to be farming Critchy. Now Critchy is a part of a crew challenge, I believe it's Hammerlock's Opulent Hunt that he's a part of, and he's pretty easy to kill. He's got 2 bars of armor and 1 bar of health, so he's pretty quick to farm, so it doesn't take long to farm this guy. I farmed him about 25 times.
Break. This is so child's play.
And of those 25 times, I got the gun to drop 8. So if we do some quick maths, that's around a 32% chance or a 1 in 3. And that makes it pretty easy to get and pretty quick to farm. So if you have the time, you'll want to be farming for an awesome prefix, and I'll show you why in just a second. So I got quite a few different prefixes to drop. The first is the Dastardly, and that is going to increase your critical hit damage. The second is the Gatlin, which is going to make the Clairvoyance go full auto. The other ones are the Iron Will, the Daisy, the Wild. I do not know what those ones do. I couldn't figure out. I was trying to get duplicates of them and their stats would not line up with what they did, so I couldn't figure out that one. The Masher, however, is really interesting because it times each shot by 4, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. And here you see my Wicked Clairvoyance that I showed you at the start of the video. And just look at the damage on this one, plus 157% weapon damage. That is by far the highest I could pull for this gun, and it just makes the damage insane. The Anointment is pretty cool as well, increases weapon damage by 1% per hit. I'm not too sure how high that stacks to. I'm assuming 99%, but I'm not too sure. I know with the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge, those stacks cap at 20%, so I'm not too sure about the Anointment cap on this one. It's still insane stats, however, and just makes this gun nutty. Now we're going to be jumping into Sanctuary in a moment here to go to the gun range where you can tearjack a new one. And as you can see, each shot that you shoot puts a dart when you make a critical hit, and that dart will then shoot another shot and do a critical hit. As you can see, body shots do not spawn that dart. You will have to do a critical hit that then makes another critical and shoots another shot in another location. If an enemy goes in the way of that shot that it shoots out, it will be critted as well. So as you can see here, I'm doing 25k per crit. It is then going to crit again when it goes off for another 25k and then shoot another shot out. Now what's interesting about the mechanics of this is that you can stack these darts and they will all go off together. And what I'm trying to do here is stack as many darts as I can and see how much damage it actually does. So I believe each dart is on a 3-second timer, but when they all stack together, the first dart, when it goes off, it will trigger all of them at the same time. So I'm just trying to see here the maximum amount of damage I can do while doing criticals, and it looks like I'm getting up to around 250,000 crits. So that means I'm doing 250,000 damage and then another 250,000 when those darts go off. So 2 rounds of that is 1,000,000 damage if you can stack it high enough. I was thinking to stack this as high as possible, I'd put on the Gatlin prefix just to see how many darts I can actually get into Jack's mug before they explode. But this prefix of the gun didn't have a very high fire rate, so if you can just see how much damage I'm doing there, it's about the same as the Wicked Clairvoyance, around 250,000. It looks as though that you can only get around 8 to 9 darts stacked before they do explode, but it's still quite a bit of damage. Now remember the Masher prefix that I showed you a little bit ago? This one is really interesting because each shot that you crit is going to put 4 darts on that critical spot. So as you can see, 4 darts are spawning there and they're all going to go off at the same time, and shoot out in different directions. And remember, when those shots hit another enemy, they will do that critical. So as you can see here, I'm doing 35k crit, which is more than the Wicked Clairvoyance that was only at 25. So each shot is actually doing 20,000 more damage. Now, like before, I wanted to see how much I could stack into Jack's Mug before they went off. But if you saw before, one of the main stats for this variation of Clairvoyance is it has negative 20% fire rate, which actually doesn't do too well. If you can see, everything that I'm stacking there is still only doing 250,000 damage, which is about the same as the Wicked. So if you manage to farm for a Masher and it has more fire rate than your normal Clairvoyance, then it's definitely a prefix to go for. So with all that out of the way, I just want to show you how this gun performs. You've probably seen it in a lot of other videos, but it is just a beast. It will put so many darts in your enemies and then shoot off, doing double damage basically to anything that you crit, and then shoot out to hit other enemies. So it's pretty insane. The strategy to use this gun would be to aim the enemies with the highest amount of health, because those darts will be shooting off and hitting the lower health enemies and just potentially killing them, where you won't even have to shoot them at all. And as you can see in these clips, then added bonus to the Clairvoyance is that it's a cryo weapon, so it's going to be freezing your enemies while you smash darts into their face that will then go off and hit everything else around it. So with all that being said, this is probably the best gun in the new DLC, and you'll definitely want to get your hands on it, because as you can see, it just shreds. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please leave a like. I'll see you on the next one.